Lilo and Stitch is, you guessed it, a live-action remake to the animated classic Lilo and Stitch. If you're a part of my generation anyway, you know exactly what Lilo and Stitch is about. You know, Experiment 626 is an alien, he crash lands on Earth, he is adopted by Lilo to be a dog who names him Stitch. Lilo and her older sister Nani are trying to teach Stitch to be a model citizen. Along the way, he's trying to avoid these aliens, Jumbo and Pleakley, who are sent to capture him and bring him back. But at its core, it's Stitch learning what it means to belong, learning what Ohana is, learning what it means to be a part of a family. Lilo and Stitch might be the most underrated Disney animation there is. I genuinely, for me personally, and maybe this is a hot take, I would put it up there with the Disney classics. I mean, I grew up with this movie. I would watch the TV series growing up. I watched all the Lilo and Stitch movies that followed. I was obsessed with the franchise that this came to be. I thought it was very influential, especially for my generation. It's funny, it's emotional, it's touching, it's just awesome. And I have another hot take that I'll throw at you guys right here. Stitch, in my opinion, has maybe become Disney's most marketable character. That's right, even more so than Mickey Mouse. I was thinking about it. Stitch sells like hotcakes. I mean, everything, like t-shirts, toys, dolls, blankets, whatever it might be. Everyone loves Stitch. The ladies love him because he's adorable, he's cute. The guys love him because he's a mischievous little shit. There is something about Stitch that is literally for everyone, and that's made him such an iconic character. Fun little story for you guys. My fiance is a diehard fan of Stitch. In fact, we have this little thing around our apartment. She has a bunch of little drawings that she made of Stitch just all over the place. So again, we kind of play with people when they come over is spot the Stitch. Just wherever you can find one, point it out, because they're all somewhere in the place. It's fun. We do that with people. So even though I have been very down on the Disney live action remakes and I've been very critical of them, this was undeniably one we were both looking forward to seeing. It's kind of one that you can't not go see. And we'll start with the positives right now. Stitch, once again, is awesome. He's a complete and total mischief. He's constantly getting himself and Lilo into trouble. And he didn't look like a CGI mess either. Like, the live action version of him, I thought looked pretty good for the most part. And I would give the movie credit where it's due. I do appreciate some of the creative licensing they took with Stitch in this one. Just like how he gets himself into trouble, some of the new mischief that he causes. I mean, you knew going into this movie, it wasn't going to be a shot-for-shot remake, because if you do that, then you really look at it, what's the point? You know the movie's gonna take some creative license, and there I was okay with it. Some people out there may not appreciate Stitch's live action look as much as they do the cartoon, because the cartoon maybe just captures his cuteness a little bit more. At least that's what some people have told me that have seen it. But regardless, I thought Stitch worked in this live action movie. Also, I thought Maya Kealoha as Lilo in this movie, I thought she did a very good job. I mean, she's this young actress in what I believe is her debut, so there's a lot riding on her. She's here to be the title character. I mean, she is just as important to the story as Stitch. I thought for what this movie was asking her to do, I thought she did very well. You know, she's trying to form this bond with this alien that she believes is a dog. You know, she kind of naively believes it's a dog when everyone out there clearly believes he's not that. Trying to get him to do good, trying to turn him around, trying to give her older sister Nani a break. She's adorable, she's goofy, she worked for this movie. I bought her as Lilo. What I did like about Lilo though, and this is nothing against her and her performance, it's certain elements of Lilo's character that the movie just kind of leaves out. I mean, let's be real, Lilo was an extremely fucking weird kid. I mean, she, you know, had a little doll named Scrump that looked like something out of a horror movie, you know. She has a moment where she, like, puts her friends as spoons into the pickle jar, shakes them up and goes, "My friends needed to be punished." Like, it's clear to see in the original movie why Cobra Bubbles was looking at her like, you might need some help that your sister can't give you. I'm gonna keep an eye on you. But you also kind of understood, and while you felt bad for her and you adored her, you kind of see why she had a hard time making friends, because she was just different. She was really different. I didn't feel like this movie touched on that as well as the animation did. In this movie, they will maybe briefly, and I mean very briefly, touch on the things that made her weird and made her different, but they don't really develop them too much. They don't really hone into them, which is kind of the bummer, because not only did it help you understand why Lilo didn't have many friends, but it also kind of explained why she adored this weird alien that she thought was a dog in Stitch. Also, let's get into where they took the most creative license in this movie. Nani, played by, what was her name? Sydney Elizabeth Agudon. I might be butchering a lot of these names, but I'm doing my best here. Just like Lilo and just like Stitch, there are elements of her character that I appreciated that the movie really touched on, and I thought the actress did a really good job playing her for what the movie was asking. Because one element in this movie that I really did appreciate is them touching on Nani being so young and having to be the guardian to her little sister. Because in the animation, Nani just kind of always felt like a mother to Lilo. She felt more like a mother than an older sister. And not that there was anything wrong with that, it just seemed more like with Nani in the animation that she just looked like she was more cut out and more capable, rather, of taking care of a young kid. In the live action version, though, Nani is clearly a kid herself. She's barely 18, and, you know, she's got all this shit going on. She has to maintain this job. She's still in school. She's trying to take care of her little sister when, you know, it's a lot for anyone, let alone someone who is her age. I really love that they touch on that, really exemplifying it's like, yeah, Nani is the older sister of Lilo, and with their parents now gone, she is her guardian. She has to take care of her. And that is a lot to put on anybody, especially when you are that young, when you are basically a kid yourself. This movie did a good job of hammering home that Nani really had to grow up quickly. She didn't have time to just like sit around and be a teenager, be a young adult. No, you gotta be an adult right now and take care of your sister. And as far as the creative license in this movie though, the movie, and this is what I think is really gonna hurt it with everybody, it definitely did among my inner circle. The movie, directly with Nani, kind of takes away the family message that is in this movie. Because in the animation, Nani's pure goal was to get a job, be able to provide for Lilo, take care of her, raise her. And she simply did that because Lilo was her sister, her family, her Ohana. This movie has this little side story with Nani where she really wants to go to college, she wants to study marine biology, but she can't do that because she feels kind of held back by Lilo. I didn't like that because, again, I get what the movie's trying to do in the sense that Nani is so young, she's got a lot of life ahead of her, and, you know, it's a lot to put on her to want to take care of her little sister. And it's not that she doesn't want to take care of her little sister. It's just that that's not the only thing that's on her mind. They had to throw that little thing in her like, oh, you want to pursue something different. That's not her. And I'm not even saying it makes sense. When you're young and a big family tragedy happens to you that forces you to put your dreams on hold, you may still think about your dreams. I do get that. But it really took a lot of the heart out of the meaning in the story, which is Ohana and being part of one. Ohana means family, and family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. Unless there are dreams you want to pursue. And that's what I felt this movie was trying to do with Nani a little bit, which I didn't like. As far as other characters in this movie, Jumba and Pleakley are in this movie. They play essentially the same roles that they had in the animation, but here's what I will say. I thought Billy Magnuson was fine as Pleakley. I actually thought he played the role pretty well. But Zach Galifianakis as Jumba, that surprisingly did not work for me. And I say surprisingly because when I was looking at the casting for this movie, you know, forever ago, and I saw Zach Galifianakis was going to be the voice of Jumba, on paper, I thought that would work. Because I've seen Zach Galifianakis in a lot of different comedies, and he's really funny, he's a huge goofball. I thought he could play Jumba correctly. However, I did think when he came in here, he would try to do like some sort of Jumba impression, you know, try to, you know, really capture what makes Jumba who he is. You know, this big alien who believes he's an evil genius and doesn't entirely know what he's doing along the way. In this movie though, Zach Galifianakis basically plays himself, but as a CGI Jumba. And that didn't really work. In this one, he's much less of a goofball. There's not a whole lot of great interaction or dynamic between him and Stitch. And they ultimately take a direction with this character that I didn't like. I mean, I kind of understand why they did what they did. There's certain elements from the animation they couldn't have in here, so they did what they did. But it just didn't work for me. And I don't think it worked for many others either. Try not to spoil what it is in case you haven't seen this movie and want to, but I'm just saying they took Jumba into a direction that I didn't appreciate. And again, because this movie doesn't want to be a total rehash or retelling of the original animation, you know they're going to take some creative license and do some things differently. And where they take a lot of creative license is what they do with certain characters. Like, for example, there are characters from the animation, like David. You know, he has, I'm not going to say a big role in Lilo and Stitch, but he has a pretty important one, I felt anyway. You know, he and Nani have a little bit of a will they, won't they going on. You know, he's someone who clearly cares for Lilo. You know, the whole Hawaiian roller coaster ride scene of surfing with them, it felt like a family. It felt like you could see like a real dynamic, like, oh, like if David and Nani became a thing and Lilo would be kind of, well, not really their child, but kind of like their child, you could see the family there. And that's what made ultimately Stitch wanted to be a part of the family, initially anyway, was seeing them together surfing. Sidestepping for a second, this movie does have the Hawaiian roller coaster ride sequence in it. I will say the person who sang the song actually did a really good job, because it's not the totally original version, but it worked. You see Nani surfing, you see the characters surfing. That's still fun. That was still there. I appreciate that. But David in this movie really doesn't do much. I mean, he's kind of just there as a background character. Whenever he says stuff, he's kind of just, silenced by other people in this movie. Namely his grandmother. Yeah, that's a brand new character that's brought into this movie. And frankly, she was given more of a role than David was, which just seemed weird. I mean, she's kind of the one who encourages Lilo to adopt Stitch, which Nani is like, why would you let her do that? She's there to make some jokes and to try to be helpful to Nani and Lilo, but again, she's not a character that I'm familiar with, and she's not one I really grew attached to. Even Cobra Bubbles in this movie. Cobra Bubbles is not the social worker in this movie. The social worker is an entirely different character. This one played by the one who originally voiced Nani in the original Lilo and Stitch, so that was kind of cool. But again, kind of the point of Cobra Bubbles in the animation was that he was this big, intimidating, kind of force of a human being. And it put a lot of pressure on Nani. Like, you looked at him, and he didn't fuck around. He's like, if I don't believe you can take care of your sister, I'm gonna take her away from you. Like, it put some added pressure on Nani. It made her feel a little bit more. It made you believe, oh no, this family's gonna get broken up. This woman, she was almost too nice. I mean, she's trying to be very sympathetic and very understanding to Nani's situation, Nani being as young as she is and the situation that she's in. But it took away a lot of that pressure on Nani, because she was the type of social worker that was giving Nani every second chance that she could get. In this one, Cobra Bubbles is just a CIA agent on the hunt for Stitch, and they kind of just make him a little bit of a cartoon. Not even cartoon. Again, total background character. Nothing about him was very intimidating or made him really stand out. He's just kind of there. The movie does have some Easter eggs that I appreciate that reference the Lilo and Stitch series or other Lilo and Stitch movies. That does have you thinking, oh, there is room for a franchise here if they want to do that, which I'm sure they're going to. The movie's making ridiculous money as we speak. But ultimately, the big thing that really does hurt the movie, it just lacked a lot of heart. I will say this, I'm not going to say the movie didn't try to have heart. There are moments that they were trying to go for with Lilo and with Stitch that, we're supposed to develop their characters in certain ways and make you care more about them, make you feel like this is how they're coming around in this movie's version. But it just never could hit in the same way that it did in the original Lilo and Stitch, because again, they really just downplay what Ohana means in this movie. The original animation made it out like family is the most important thing in this world, which it is. And in this one, not as much. So when you snatch, I'm not going to say all of the heart of this movie, but a good chunk of it, you do feel like something is missing there. Yeah, I do feel I did most of my rambling or reviewing about the characters themselves, but hopefully in doing that, I was able to hammer home my issues and positives with this movie. Just kind of realized in hindsight that's what I've been doing, but again, hopefully my point still came across. So all in all, Lilo and Stitch, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it's certainly not as good as we know it can be. Stitch is back, he's causing mayhem, he's chaotic, he's cute, he's everything we remember and love. Very glad Chris Sanders came back to voice him too, because I don't think anybody else can really voice Stitch at this point. Maya K. Aloha, I thought, did a really good job as Lilo. I do wish the movie showcased more of her weirdness a bit more so we could understand more of why she and Stitch were such a great tandem. But she did a very good job, and I definitely think she has a future ahead for herself. There were elements of Nani's character that I could appreciate in them showing what it means to be basically a teenager having to raise your younger sibling, but I do wish they didn't take certain creative directions with her that made it feel like she valued pursuing her dreams more than she did taking care of her Ohana. I wish Ohana itself had a much deeper role and deeper significance in this movie, just as it did in the original, and it just kind of doesn't. There's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie that reference other Lilo and Stitch projects, which I thought was nice. It does feature some fun moments and scenes from the original, Stitch escaping the Galactic Federation, the Hawaiian roller coaster ride. Those are in here, those are fun. Those are, gonna bring back some nostalgia for you. They did some modifications with quite a few characters I wasn't really a fan of. They threw in some new characters I couldn't really get behind. Oh yeah, Lilo's obsession with Elvis, that's not in this movie whatsoever. And that also felt empty. It has some funny moments, it had some touching moments, it has a lot of moments that are enjoyable, but none of which will hit you in the same way that the animation did. And in the end, is this one of the better Disney live action remakes? Yes. Is that saying anything? Not at all. I mean, the last two Disney live action adaptations we got were Mufasa the Lion King and Snow White. That is about as piss poor, low of a bar you can set for anything in life. So yeah, even though they certainly could have done better here, I do appreciate that it could have been much worse. So with that, I will give Lilo and Stitch a 5 out of 10, which makes, I would say, about every moment featuring Lilo and Stitch worth watching, which is maybe roughly half this movie.
How much you want?
Half.
So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.